Wow, morning YouTube. Just out for a little walk on the common. Going to be summer soon. The old cricket pitch and the cricket club. Everyone's winding up for a very nice summer at our end. Just wanted to bring you up to speed with the cloning of Armouredcockroach's YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody that flagged it up for me, told me what was going on, and for all the people that kind of stepped up and took action, you know, so identified it as a impersonation and flagged up all the kind of abuse that was being sent. Somebody's obviously put an awful lot of work, time, effort into it. You know, they went through all the channels that I subscribe to. They're the people that got all the abusive messages in the middle of the night, and it was quite substantial. You know, we're talking about double figures, maybe even treble figures of people that were contacted and sent abusive messages. So fairly extensive kind of operation on this individual's part. How do I feel about it? Well, I've kind of lived with it now for about 48 hours, and really I found myself to be fortified, really. You know, I didn't realise there were so many people out there watching my back, so to speak, and to all of those, like I say, I am eternally grateful. Really, I kind of I put it in perspective in my own kind of head, like this, you know, 4% of people in society are mentally ill, therefore 4% of people that have anything to do with YouTube or social media obviously don't function normally either. And you know, this individual in my world is just, you know, it's just sick, it's just mentally ill. Why would you send a tirade of abuse to people on the other side of the world that you're never ever going to meet, you know, in a feeble attempt to, I don't know, upset them maybe? So that's my kind of take on it, you know. Today Google got in touch and they said that they had taken the channels down and sent this individual kind of notifications, which is all good. You know, the other thing is that this sort of activity for and on behalf of these, you know, trolls and individuals, it just goes on to the sort of the account standing, you know. So obviously if you get kind of 3 strikes at this sort of thing, you know, you become less and less and less likely to be able to get a channel in the future, you know. So I draw great comfort from that. The other thing, like I said, you know, is now I understand Google's policy. So it's a kind of 3 strikes and you're out. If 3 people notify Google of impersonation or abusive content or pornographic content or whatever, then once they get the 3 notifications electronically, somebody actually picks it up and deals with it. So that was brilliant. You know, it could have been just me notifying Google, so, you know, I find out what's going on, I flag something up, you know, and then 2 days later it's still there and I contact them again, and 2 days later it's still there and I contact them again. So the 3 notifications could have taken quite a long time. Whereas because my subscribers and people around me sort of noticed it, got in touch with Google straight away, you know, those 3 notifications came in within a couple of hours, and they had the site down within about 40 hours, I suppose. Bear in mind there were 2 channels, you know, there was the cloned YouTube channel and my Google Plus page, and as anyone knows that these things are linked. You know, so that's what went on. That's the conclusion. It's gone. The red alert's over. Thank you very much for your support. Right, but it's bigger than that, you know. So I've been looking at this experience, and I've been looking for the positives, you know, and I think I found a couple. Some of the people contacted by this individual that were sent a tirade of abuse, I haven't spoken to or contacted in an age. And the amount of like really good friends that contacted me and said, "Oh, Roach, you know, I got this the other day, knew it wasn't from you, but what's going on," was brilliant, you know. So I managed to touch base with an awful lot of people that I hadn't contacted and kind of spoken to in quite a long time. So that was a positive in itself. The other thing is I've had a sort of backhanded inquiry from a production company who wants to have a little meet-up. So that might turn into a positive, you know. I'm not naive enough to think that this has gone away, you know. Today it's not a problem. But of course, things like this, you know, it's not going to be the last time that this happens. It seems to be something, like I said, that happens is just a way of life in the 21st century, you know. So there you go. You know, we've concluded it today, but I'm sure something similar is going to be, you know, back and interfering with the running of normal business, you know, sooner or later. So. I don't think that you can think of these things in a kind of personal term. I certainly don't think of myself as being under attack, you know. I am in the public eye, you know. If you put Armouredcockroach into Google, guess what? You get me. You know, I'm not quite sure how sort of Hollywood A-listers get out of bed in the morning if it's this bad for someone like myself, you know. People sort of said, "Oh, you know, but aren't you mortified that somebody broke into your channel?" And well, I was a little bit upset, I have to turn around and say, but I'm not surprised. You know, we had an individual in the UK who was being deported to America for breaking into the national defence computer system, you know. So of course, if someone could break into the heart of the CIA's database, they could definitely get into Roach's YouTube channel, you know. So I'm not at all surprised that it was possible and that it happened. Today I have more faith in human nature than I did before it happened, because profoundly I think that, you know, 99 point, you know, whatever percentage of people are good, decent, honourable people that just, you know, just want to rub along and get by, you know, and that the like I say, people that suffer from mental illness or perhaps don't function properly definitely make up the minority, you know. so I have nothing but hope for the future out of that one. So that's the end of that little experience. Just want to say a big heartfelt thank you to everybody that researched what was going on for me and did something about it. All good, nothing bad. Something that I have been looking into that this individual raised was trademarking, and they sort of said, "Oh, you know, Armouredcockroach, I've trademarked it and no one will be able to use the name," and I put a little bit of effort into that. So I used to have an involvement with an individual that trademarked his name, and I have an insight into what it can achieve. But very simply, trademarking is sort of 1 to 42 categories or headings, really. So if you imagine toys and games or children's wear or media, you pick a category in which you are going to trademark something. The more categories you pick, the more expensive it becomes. Realistically, to trademark something, you would have a minimum of 3 categories. And that would probably end up costing you somewhere around £1,000 to do. The other thing is that once you buy the trademark, it then has to be thoroughly researched, legally approved, and then it has to be issued. Now, that process is a 6-month journey. You know, it's not something I could phone up today, pay over the money to buy a trademark, but that doesn't mean to say that it's in effect, you know, and that I am the legal owner. There's an awful lot of legwork that has to go on. You know, I guess it's like turning up and saying, you know, I'd quite like to buy your house, and I agree to pay the asking price, and maybe here's a deposit, you know, £5 for a deposit. But that doesn't mean that you are going to buy the house. It just means that you've declared an interest, you know. So I'm looking into trademarking. It looks quite expensive, and I'm sort of wondering, you know, there's all sorts of ways around trademarking. You know, if someone was to come up with the armoured cockroach, if someone was to break up the word, you know, and have armoured space cockroach, and it depends what you're going to use the name for. So if someone wanted to come out with a line of baby clothing called Armoured Cockroach, for example, you know, it wouldn't really affect a person who was using it for broadcaster media, for example. The chances are that that wouldn't be a conflict, and that those trademarks would be issued, you know. Because at the end of the day, you've got to remember, trademarking's a business. You know, people are making money. They don't want to turn people down for trademarks, because you know, that's their business, that's how they earn their money. If trademarks aren't issued, then people don't get paid, you know. So so it's kind of a positive sort of experience all round. I'm looking into trademarking. It's quite expensive. I might come back to you and ask you what you think, and I might even come back and ask you for your help. What I'm thinking about is some sort of cooperative where we try to use the might of our little community to set up maybe an equipment website or something like that, where if you're a member of it, you get discounts, you know. So you get, I don't know, 10 or 20% discount or whatever, or we use our buying power to negotiate discounts with the manufacturers, and everybody that's involved in it or was from the sort of ground up is, I don't know, maybe a shareholder or something like that, you know, a cooperative of sorts that would enable us to approach equipment suppliers and manufacturers, and to distribute that kit and equipment to our members at discounted prices or something like that. Or maybe the advantages might be that you might get kit and equipment before, you know, first, before it goes to the marketplace, sort of thing. So that's sort of what I got going on in my head. Just, again, you know, just trying to turn a negative experience into a positive outcome, which is one of my mantras, you know. I've always said, you know, prepping's not about laying under the bed waiting for Armageddon. You know, it's about getting out there and living a life and being as positive and kind of futuristic as you can be. You know, if there's a storm coming, it makes little sense to kind of hide under the bed just to wait for it to devastate you and your little family. You know, perhaps to batten down the hatches, load the truck and relocate a couple of 100 miles and stay with friends is probably the thing to do, you know. But so I'm all about being proactive. That's kind of what I've got, you know, ticking around in the little grey cells. Just like to say, you know, a really sort of big heartfelt thank you to everybody that was watching my back, that stepped up and that actually did something. Really appreciate it. I've got a busy few days coming up. The weekend is a lot going on. I'm sure I'll share that with you at a more appropriate time. I've got my little prepper network turning up this weekend, so can't wait to see them, and there'll be a little bit of a barbie and a drink, I'm sure. So that will be you know, good fun, and I hope that we're able to post something up for you of myself, Funky Prepper, Lone Wolf, Wild Soul 62, and I hope Pete Whitesman turns up, because it's always good, you know, when we all get together, and we always enjoy each other's company, you know. So come out the other side of that and bang straight into kind of next week, and you always have a spring in your step when you've spent time with good friends and like-minded people. So that's on the horizon, and I'm quite excited. What I'd like to do is to just ask you to thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, comment, and if you're watching on Facebook, follow. As always, any comments, love to hear them. Back soon.